Hey there, everybody. Rhonda Boyle here. I am a pro and evangelist member coach with SOAR.com, and I am super pumped to bring you my guest today who's going to be doing some great training, Jo Self herself. And let me just tell you what she's going to be talking about today. She's going to be sharing with us the power of your personal brand in the digital age. And are we ever in the digital age? And it's time that we really stay focused on and understand the digital footprint that we leave. And so that is what Jo is going to cover today, what matters most in your digital footprint. So let me introduce you to Jo Self. She is a strengths branding expert with Jo Self Consulting. She is a talent and idea accelerator. She accelerates disruptors and big vision leaders towards their desired destiny through building on their strengths. Jo Self herself, say hey to the people.
Hey to the people. How y'all doing?
How y'all doing?
How y'all doing? My Southern can come out.
There you go. What I didn't mention is that Jo is from Peru. She's an expatriate living in Peru, right? Isn't that how we would call you? Yes, you are. And so I'm really excited to talk to you today because, you know, a lot of stuff is going, you know, we're out there.
Yeah.
We are out there. And I think one of the things that shocked me several months ago was I had a client reach out and she said, hey, Rhonda, we're getting ready to publish about the event. Here's the bio that we have on you. And she pulled that bio from somewhere that I don't know, but it was about years and years old. And I had to stop her real quick. And that's when it came to my consciousness that my footprint wasn't harmonized. And so that's one of the things you're going to share and some tips that you're going to give us today. And we are grateful to hear from you. And I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of us out there sort of have this, love-hate relationship with the digital world, right? But unfortunately, it is our reality at this point. I mean, we can't get away from the fact that somehow, somewhere, we are online, whether we want to be or not. So the more you are in control of it, the better off you're going to be, right? So you need to be really aware of where you are. Exactly, Rhonda. You are online, whether you want to be or not. You need to be in control of what people are seeing about you. So this goes along with your brand. So one, it's about having a really strong and singular message for people so that kind of no matter where they're coming across your profile, they know who you are and what you do. They know what to expect from you, right? And it's also about having a strong story where people can connect with you humanly so they can feel empathy with you, that they can really get to know you and who you are. Now, we all have a personal profile and a professional profile, right, that we maintain. And I don't mean just a profile online. I mean, like, we have who we are at home, we have who we are at work. We kind of manage different personalities. So when I'm talking about having some harmony online, it's a lot more about what Rhonda was saying on make sure you don't have a 7-year-old profile out there that's saying the wrong thing about you and people are confusing you with that person because maybe you've moved on from that area, maybe you've moved on from that particular business focus. There's a lot of things that people could misconstrue. And so it's also not about being a walking LinkedIn profile, right? It's not about walking around pretending you're your resume everywhere you go. It's about being intentional where you are and being purposeful with what you choose to be active on. So even from a marketing perspective, you don't have to be everywhere. You don't have to be on Pinterest and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, and, right? Like, you don't have to be everywhere. You just want to be intentional about where you are. And for me, the best place to start at being intentional is having a singular profile out there. Now, that doesn't mean saying the exact same thing and copying and pasting from LinkedIn to Facebook to wherever. It's not a copy and paste, but it's about ensuring that that message is similar and that the message is intended for the audience you expect to see you there. But if they see you on LinkedIn and they see you on Facebook, they're not going to get two different people, right? Does that all make sense to everyone so far? I tend to talk really quickly, so if I need to slow down for anyone, let me know. Oops, Rhonda, you're on mute.
I was trying to mute my keyboard. So I think that a lot of us have, and I'll just speak for myself, the rest of you can fess up or not, but I think that I'm guilty of cutting and pasting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think I've looked at my Facebook business profile. It just occurred to me in probably 2 or 3 years. So this is how it happens. You forget about it.
Right. You put it up there, you think it's done, and you move on.
Exactly.
Right. But it really is something you want to go back. And I would say at a minimum, you want to go back every 6 months and just read it for yourself and go, yep, that still feels like me. That still feels like who I am and the message I want to get out there. So you really want to go. And I'm going to tell you all right now, I'm giving you advice, but we all know we sit in our own jar and can't read the labels. I'm going to tell you right now, my profiles aren't perfect. They aren't. I'm still working on mine. It is a work in progress. It is an evolution. As I discover something about myself, I go back, I reread it, and I go, you know what? That's not quite right. I gotta mess with it a little bit. I change the, wording a little bit. You got to really work it out. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say, if we start with your about you on your website, I'm going to move into a presentation in a second and give you some tips on how to write a great about you. And I think that's where everyone should start, because that's your story. That's the longer piece. This is your legacy. This is what you want to convey with people, right? So when you start with that about you, then we can dissect it and pull from it what we need for other profiles. So I would start with the about you on your page, because it's also where you are personally connecting with the people that are coming to find you.
So which page do you mean when you say your
So on
page?
your website, if you have a website.
Oh, got it.
Make sure that about you page is done the way that you really like it to be done. And when I say that, even if you don't have a website right now and you're going to start with LinkedIn, I still highly recommend writing that about you piece first. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it gives you all the elements you need to write the other profiles. Right. So you can cherry pick from the longer story to get those shorter pieces that you need. And so what we're going to do today, I'm going to walk you through a few tips on how to make the most of that about you on your website. I'm going to ask you guys to participate a little bit as well. So I hope you're ready to type in and be a little creative with us today. And then I'm also going to share kind of a special tool with you at the end of this as well. Anytime along the way, if you guys have questions, have thoughts, have comments, please interact, throw them in the chat. Rhonda's helping me keep an eye on that. So as I'm walking through this presentation, we can keep up with you guys. So do not worry about interrupting.
Yep. Chat.
And I'm even going to share my profiles with you so I can show you what I've done and what I think is good and what I think could be improved, right? Even on my own profile. So I'm going to just out myself everywhere. So I'll go through this first, and then I'll go through my examples with you.
Okay,
all
good.
Right?
Thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely. All right. Let me just put that in presentation style. Maybe not. There we go. So tip number 1, grab their attention. You want a good title. You want a great question. It's a great place for you to ask your people something about themselves. It's a great place to make a bold statement. I can say, get it right before it goes wrong, right? Or I could say, do you ever feel like you're drowning in your business? Or I could say, do you feel like everyone out there is doing what you do? How are you going to stand out, right? So I could ask a question. You ask something provocative.
Let me stop you right here for a second, Joe, if you don't mind. This
Not
is
at
a
all.
really significant thing. Asking a question, a bold statement is great. From a neuroscience standpoint, though, asking a question forces the brain to stop and answer. The brain, a person, when they read a question, they must answer it in their mind, So this is why questions are really good to figure out for your ideal client, so that when you're starting out your about me, you can ask them something significant about them.
Right. So that being said, I would love everyone to give it a go. What is a good question you could ask to start off your about you? Do you have that in mind yet? Have you thought about it? Throw it up in the chat. I'd love to see what you guys have to say.
Go ahead and chat in the chat box and give us what you think a good question might be for your target audience.
Great, Barry. Are you the best version of you?
Mm-hmm.
You might even want to follow that one up with, what would it take to get there? Or what do you feel is missing, right? Because that fear of missing out, something that people want to know more about, would help too. Rhonda, do you have enough clients in your coaching business? Great. Would you like to increase community in your church?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Since I can't see everyone, we're going to assume that you guys are thinking. I'm going to give you a few more minutes.
Where are you going in your life? Ooh, yeah.
Great,
Here's
Michelle.
another one. I've got another one. What's your next step?
And that's where you'd even want to use italics or a good font, right? Where you go, what's your next step?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that's where we get that personality, that conversation. And we'll talk about tone a little bit later, but that's a great place where a font and using italics or something can really help you get the question out there and give it some more emotion.
Yes. Perfect. Good.
How do you see the best version of yourself? Great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What kind of problems? Here's another thing too, is that you want to kind of pinpoint a problem that they may have. Like, where is your ideal client's pain point? So if how do you see the best version of yourself? You might, oh my gosh, Anna, are your dreams buried so deep you have forgotten them? Ugh. That is going to hit your ideal client.
Yep,
yes.
Absolutely.
What is preventing you from being who you've always wanted to be? Yes. What's stopping you from fill in the blank? What's stopping you? Now, a lot of times the answer to that is going to be, I don't know, but it still causes them to stop.
And it's going to cause them to stop, and you're going to answer that question for them. We're going to talk a little bit more about how, but you're going to answer that question in your about you. But we're going to learn a little bit about more tricks. So keep those coming, guys. I want to keep seeing
Good
those.
job,
if
everybody.
You're still thinking of them. I really appreciate that. So tip number 2, I get this question a lot. Do I write in first person or third person? My personal advice, especially someone who is their own brand, who is the product, you are offering a service, you are working personally with clients, I will always say first person. Because first person is how you connect emotionally. You're telling your story. You are talking about what you do, what you've personally been through, and you're going to create a connection. Third person creates a bit of distance.
Now, Joe, I think that a lot of this third person stuff comes from resumes. And then, of course, LinkedIn is the, quote, professional place that, a lot of coaches play. And so, I think that's been the stop.
But would you write a cover letter in third person?
No, exactly. I think you're absolutely right. I think that in some people's minds, though, there's that struggle with, oh my gosh, on LinkedIn, is this going to prevent me from looking professional?
Where I tend to draw the line to kind of help people with this is when you are personally connecting, right? Like your cover letter. You're not going to write your cover letter in third person if you were going for a job, right? But if someone is presenting you, then yes, third person is appropriate. If you're entering a bio because you're a speaker at an engagement, if you are being presented by someone, then I think third person is appropriate so that you help them along with that. But when you are personally making the connection, which for me includes LinkedIn, you want people to connect with you. It is a personal profile. It is not a job ad. It is not where you're being presented. LinkedIn is not putting you out there in the world.
Okay.
Right? So that's my personal feeling. Now, if you really feel strongly about third person and for your business, it might have a place. I think it can go back and forth. But when when you are personally putting yourself out there and trying to make the connection with someone, I highly recommend first person over third. Third person has its place, but not on your About You page on your website, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably argue that about LinkedIn as well, and Facebook, anywhere where you're putting yourself out there, because again, you wouldn't write your cover letter in third person.
Okay, perfect. I
So
love
does that make
having
sense
that.
for everyone?
It makes absolute sense. And I have constantly suggested first person because it is more personal. They can hear you speaking to them in their mind. That's
Exactly.
how it translates. And whether they know you or not, or have seen you or not, you become personified in their mind if they're seeing your personal, you speak to them in first person.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so tip number 3 goes along with tip number 4. So we'll get into this. But tip number 3, this is not your autobiography. You're not telling your entire life story here. This is not all about you. It says about you, but it's not all about you at all. And it is not a place for you to put every accomplishment you've ever done. It is not your resume. It is a place for you to tell a story that is going to connect you. And so along those lines, while it's not your autobiography, your About You is really all about them.
Yes.
The focus shifts. You are telling your story in a way that is going to connect to the people that you want to work with. So you're really telling a story that they could tell themselves.
Wow.
Right?
Okay. Let me write that again out. You are telling a story that they could be telling themselves. Yes.
You are talking to them in a place where you were and you can help them get to. You are walking them through your process, how did I get here? How did I make it work? Right? And when you're doing it in that way, you're helping them see that it's possible, whatever that is. And this applies for corporate as much as it does as working with individual clients, right? There are ways to create this story so that the person hears you the way it needs to be heard. I've had one person who was working, they said, I really want to work with managers. She said, but I've been a manager, but that's not really where most of my experience is. It's mostly in being an employee. And I said, well, how did you suffer as an employee with really bad managers? How would you like to help other managers not be the bad managers you've experienced? It doesn't necessarily matter that you haven't been that person, but you have been in that experience and you understand it.
Got it.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I think that this is also going to help you really get clear on where you need to be focused on your ideal client. Because a lot of times we have in our minds, well, I'm working here, but I'd really like to work there and there because that's where the money is, but that's not where your experience is. And you can't really bluff your way through that.
No. And you'll actually drag your feet, right? You'll actually drag your feet doing it because you'll get into that little bit of an imposter syndrome. You'll worry about how you're really doing it. You'll get flustered over the hows of doing everything because it doesn't flow naturally from you. And the trick is to find that space where it flows naturally and make money doing it. And it's there. It just, that's why coaches have coaches too, to help us find our own strength zone, right? I mean, you, Rhonda, we've talked about this on other calls, like we're still sliding into our strength zone somewhat, right?
Sure. All of us.
And
yeah. You'll be done when you're dead. Like, sorry.
Yes, I got it. Right. But then you get more experience. And as your experience shifts, where you want to be can shift too.
Yes.
Right. So that's what I do. So tip 5, and this is exactly what you were talking about, Rhonda. Be you. Be the weird, wonderful, authentic you that you are. Talk in your voice. If you put something out there that sounds very sophisticated and using all the proper words, but that's not how you talk in real life, don't put it out there like that then, because people are going to expect that of you. And what you want is that warm, personal. Like, I love when Rhonda's emails go out because, she'll say y'all and like, girl, do you know, like, and that's how she talks. Right. So you can absolutely.
I was going to say I cannot get out of the Southern. That's just all there is to it.
No, you can't get out of it. And so it's you. But when people are reading your emails, I hear you in my head. I've only had to hear you once to hear you in my head. And even if I had never met you, I would have an impression of who you were.
That's kind of scary, y'all. I might be in your head.
But this is really, really important because a lot of people feel like, again, with that professional level and getting it out there and being just perfect, they put something out there that really isn't how they're going to talk to their clients.
Right.
If you use some weird words, use the weird words. If you use some colloquialisms, use them, right, in your about you, because that creates empathy. It creates a connection and it creates empathy with your client. And that's what you want to do through your about you as well. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. You don't have that. When you try to put on that person that's not you, you're not going to get business that way. It doesn't come across as you. There's an energy behind it. And part of the reason that you do that is because you don't understand the value of what you bring to your ideal client.
Absolutely.
So that's where the work has to be done, really.
Yeah, we deny our own value. Mm-hmm. I did it for a while. When I first started out, I mean, here I am, I'm working with coaches most of the time. When I first started out in strengths, who am I to help other strengths coaches figure out what to do in business? Who am I to help them get their businesses off the ground? Who am I? I'm just starting out like, I don't know enough. These people know so much more than I do.
Right.
And yet, when I put myself out there, the next group of coaches found me and the next group of coaches found me, and organically it was like, okay, maybe I know something, right? Yeah. Maybe I do know something. Maybe I've got this. And so it's a question of throwing it out there. And I tell people all the time, look for the organic growth, look for what feels great, and see the people that come to you. And there is a way to make money doing it. There really is.
Well, and you know what you'll find, and I know most of the people on the call are strengths coaches. I have learned that almost 100% of my clients have either empathy or connectedness. Mm-hmm. And so you can, when you start to learn where your lane is and the people that you can really help, you even learn to the depth of how they're talented. So.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, and you see where you attract, right? Because sometimes there's something they need that you have that they don't have, right? I've actually had, I think, probably 6 of my last 10 clients have almost been reflections of my bottom 5 or bottom 10.
Isn't that interesting?
And so I'm working totally outside my zone, which is awesome because and I'm learning from them, and they're learning from me. And so it becomes this really beautiful partnership of what's going on.
Well, that's what it is. It's a complementary.
Yep.
Complementary partnership.
Right. And then I get other people who have activator and connectedness and things like that and want, they want steps, they want implementation, they want action, and they need somebody who can give that to them too. So that, depending on what the need is, there's 2 benefits to both sides, but it's fascinating to see where you sort of start falling and what you attract. So tip number 6 is include social proof. Now, there are different ways to do this, and it's, enough about me. Here's what other people are saying about me. Right. So it's sharing, because social proof is important. I do this on my own page through what I call success stories. So I don't call them testimonials. You can call them testimonials. You can call them whatever. It's also good to pepper those into your About You page as well. It's good to pepper them in on programs or other pieces, but then I also have a whole page of it. But you want social proof in there so that they can see what other people are saying about you. Mm-hmm. And there's different ways to do that. I'm actually going to show you a couple different examples, but this is one way. And literally I just did screenshots and pulled them over from either Facebook or LinkedIn so that people can see these are, yes, real people. And yes, they are in there. I love the testimonial sliders. I love some of that, but I also love authenticity. And I want people to know that I didn't make this up. This is, this is a real person and we really work, so they can find out where to, where they can find them. So social proof is super important. And the last one, always, 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 always have a call to action. I put it down as CTA because I want you guys to get used to seeing that abbreviation. When you're working online or seeing anything online, you're going to get a lot of advice for a CTA. That CTA means call to action. I don't care if you're doing a Facebook Live. I don't care if it's just your About You. I don't care if it's a short bio line. Always have a reason and a how for people to reach out to you.
Give us some examples.
Don't ever just leave it hanging. So let's talk.
Oh, okay, got it. Let's talk.
I want to know all about you. I want to know where your biggest pain point is. Let's do this, right? Get that let them send you an email, send them to your contact page, whatever that is, do that. You want to start getting an email list building up and you want to talk to them, get your free blueprint, get your free assessment, get your free discovery call, get whatever you want. Get that information, start collecting those emails. Let them know you're collecting emails. We're in that age where we have to let people know, but let's talk. Get your free whatever. Schedule a call. I want to talk to you. That's another way to say it. Or you can say, let's chat or whatever. Whatever fits your personality, right? Or, hey, I got a Facebook group. Come on over and join our Facebook group where you can meet lots of other people just like you who are going through the same thing. Right? And so you're building your followers, because what you want to do is always be building your followers, because to be able to sell anything, you need people to sell to. If you have 3 people you're talking to and you sell one of them, congratulations, you have an incredible track record, because that is just not what normally happens, right? You need lots of people and you need repetition out there. So you need to build community and find those ways to connect. For me, I almost always have people schedule a call with me if I can, or find a way to schedule a call, which you guys will all get to do too, because I like talking. I have communication. I have an activator. I want to talk to you. An email is great.
You guys want to talk to her. Let me tell you, she's an ideation queen. Yep, absolutely.
And I love brainstorm sessions, really. That's my way to connect with you guys. I love doing the mastermind that I do. So another one, I have a free mastermind that I run that's going to be up and running again here shortly. Been off during the holidays. But it's, hey, join this and let's brainstorm, and hey, do this. And that's where I get to be there. You can say, Joe, I don't know what to do. Okay, great. My strategic ideation says, what are the options? What seeds can we plant? How can we get started? Activator wants to go. So, look at your strength and what makes sense to you as you decide how you want people to contact you, and change it up, right? You can change it up because you can also test and see what works for different platforms.
Well, so that's true. And certainly different age groups too, because if you're working with millennials and Gen Z, they may prefer text, or I don't know, some other Marco Polo or some other types of platforms, Right. So yeah, there's lots of different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And so do you guys have any questions so far before I share some of my little bios and things out there that I'm looking at one going, oh man, I got to update that, but we'll go with it for the idea.
Well, but what I really so appreciate your transparency, Joe, because true confession, I have certain ones that I haven't paid attention to. So it's like you said before, it's kind of like along the lines of the cobbler's kids don't have any shoes, because we're so busy working with other people and helping them that we forget to do our own stuff. So,
and we all get that way, right? We all get that way. So
that way in whatever your area of expertise is.
Exactly.
One of you.
So you can delegate what you can, and I try to get up there, but then it's also put it on the calendar. Hey, check these, make sure they're right. Especially when you're publishing articles, because those bylines can change. So I highly recommend keeping those up to date.
Good.
I get the notion of having a single online voice presence. What if we serve different niches? Okay. Great question, Barry.
Excellent, Barry.
When you say different niches, what exactly do you mean? My strategic needs more information. Because different niches could be individuals versus teams. Different niches could be health and fitness and corporate executive training. How broad is that niche difference?
Well, because you may need to speak to people differently depending upon the environment.
No, you absolutely
do. The platform.
And the platform. And that's where we're going to look. And I'm going to show you sort of my differences between my own page versus what I have on LinkedIn.
Right. Here we go. Barry serves both corporate and faith-based organizations.
When it's something like that, my gut to tell you on that one is to focus on the heart of the message and then change it as needed depending on where you're sending each platform to find you. So if you just say, I work with busy executives, the faith base is going to go, I don't know. Right? I actually try to discourage too much crossing over, but some people manage it and do it really well, depending on where that's coming from and where you're really trying to find your business. But I would focus at the heart of the message. So I know you use strengths. So focusing on strengths, focusing on the message of what that does for people, and focusing on what it's done for you. I'm guessing on LinkedIn, you're probably not pushing the faith-based people over to your LinkedIn profile or expecting to find them there. So you could make that message just a little bit more geared towards the corporate world. And then wherever you are on social media otherwise, or just even in person, your faith-based message could be slightly different.
Yeah,
And
I think what the crossover, can I offer this, Barry? The crossover I see between the two of them is engagement. Because it's the same, they have the same pain points, only different. And the difference is in the language that they use.
Right.
So
exactly.
you would, the heart of the message is, how do you engage your people so that, for whatever, in a corporation, you might talk about efficiency, but in the faith-based community, you might use a different word, like, what word might we use if we're talking about, I'll have to think about that. Sometimes
I would think like volunteer participation, or just, or just better attendance, or right. Engagement is a perfect link. So yeah, see, part of the message.
There you
Rhonda's the other half of my brain. This is why I love working with Rhonda.
So Joe and I share 6 of our top 10 for those of you who are strengths based.
Yeah. Perfect. So I think with different niches, that fantastic question. Yeah. And I do get it a lot. Okay. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to show this to you guys next. And then the very last, I'll share with you a little tool that I've created for those of you who might find it. So let me share my screen again. And first I'm going to show you one that isn't mine. And I know this might be really artsy and crazy and out there for you, right? This guy's a designer, so it fits him. But I want you guys to see how he's sort of done his about page. So he's got his menu here, and we're on the about. But
this is on his website.
This is on his website.
So those of you who don't have one, don't stress out, because you have options. But anyway, go ahead.
And it's not necessary, but this is on his website. And this is what we're talking about as far as creating that initial about you, even if you don't have a website. I just want you to have this structured down. So he's got this is who I am. This is what I do, right? But then this gets your attention. Like, who is this man? Dude, myth, or mega designer, right? You can get a sense of his personality. The way he's got his picture in there, gives you a sense of his personality. And then he starts, up here about his business, Gummsig. And then it's like, well, that's enough talking about myself in the third person. So this is me. Right? So you get a sense of his personality. You get a sense of what he does, who he works with, and it's done in a pretty friendly way that doesn't make it feel overwhelming or worse, intimidating. I can't tell you how many profiles I read about people, and they throw so many, like, I've won this, I've worked with these people, I've done this, and I go, oh man, he's like way out of my league. Not even my person, right? And it's intimidating. And he might be the perfect person for me, but probably not, because he's focused so much on that it's not the right person for me. But those are, and then, here's your action items. Hire me, contact me, or tell me your secrets.
Look at I want to point out the funny thing that he has done, which tells more about his personality. Scroll up a little bit where he says, oh no, it's right there. He says, I have 3, and he strikes it out. I have 3 soon to be 4 wonderful kids. Like it's a deliberate strikeout kind of thing that he has.
Yeah.
In his, which tells a whole lot about him.
And he talks about the pain points that also talk about what he does, right? Feel free to contact me anytime if you need a basic website, want to sell stuff online, need a corporate website with an easy to use content management system, right? Like,
love it.
Very simple stuff. And then down here, he's got his social proof. He's got a couple of testimonials.
Got it.
Right? And then his footer still features all the other stuff so you can get around his website. So this is just a great example of how he's incorporated a lot of what we just talked about. It has his personality. There's a little third person, mostly first person. You've got an idea about his design. This isn't going to fit everyone. I couldn't put this on my website. It wouldn't look like me.
I might be able to do something like that. I'm just saying.
You could probably get away with something a little bit more like
that. I'm stealing an idea or two.
So I love something like that, right? So then if we go to my website, so this is mine. It starts with a picture of me with my son.
Oh,
I love this picture.
Yes.
Right, which has nothing to do with my business or the people that I work with. It's just, that's who I am.
But it tells us who you are with your hot pink hair.
my hot pink hair, playing with my son, doing some discovery stuff. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I talk about who I am. And I love this. This comes from a little bit of the BP10. This comes from a little bit of just knowing my strengths and what I love to do and how I summarize that. Right. So that's what you could, and so that tells you what to expect from me. If you're going to work with me, this is what to expect from me.
Right.
I'm not going to do the same old, same old. I'm not going to give you just a formula. I tell people all the time, I have a formula, but I don't make the formula work. I don't make you work for the formula. I make the formula work for you.
Got it.
Because it's not going to work the same way for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But there are certain things you need to do. So it's just, how do we do them that it works for you? And then my little bio right here.
Yeah. It gives people, you know, they may want to look over, they may look over at the pink part first, and then they go over and read a little bit more. But what you want is for it to be intriguing.
Right.
So, and look how you start with a question too, you know?
Yeah. And it is the question I'm asked all the time. And I keep seeing it. What do you do? What do you do? Well, I wish there had been a me for me. That is my honest answer. That's why I do what I do.
Great.
And so there's different things here, right? What am I missing? I'm missing a little social proof on my own page, right? I'm missing a better call to action. I've slipped them in, but I'm missing a better call to action. So those are things I need to improve on my own page.
Hey, I want to interrupt here for just a second, Joe. Betsy says she loves seeing where it says, I wish there had been a me for me when I was starting out. And, you know, that really is a clue to your ideal client. What struggles did you have? Because you solved them to get where you are today. And
you and I talk about that all the time, is who you were 10 years ago is most likely the person you need to be working with.
Yes. Could be. Mm-hmm.
Could be, not always, but in many cases. And like I said, even if you're in a corporate world or anything, you still have a perspective from that you can offer to that person you're trying to help.
Exactly.
So you've seen that. So then my LinkedIn, my biggest mission, if you know me, is to create a strengths-based generation. I do that in a lot of ways. So for me, I always talk about how evolution comes through revolution. You got to have an aha for you to make a change, and then that change is your evolution. So I know you guys did a LinkedIn. Some of you were on the LinkedIn one. Always make sure you have a good close-up picture, not something way, way far away, or not something that looks terrible, or not something where you're smiling that drives me nuts.
Yeah. I do have another, if I can, you don't mind me saying this here. No. I have a recording of a training that we did just the other day on LinkedIn. If any of you would like to have that, I'm going to give you a link where you can reach out to me and just ask for the LinkedIn.
Yeah, so I don't want to spend too much time on the actual LinkedIn, but just to show you the difference of what a profile might look like. So here I focus a little bit more on the business side. I turn your possibilities into profitability, right? Who am I working with? You're a coach, a leader, an innovator. I love working with entrepreneurs and leaders who have a big vision. Your message will be contagious. I want to help you create a contagious message. And then what is the normal takeaway that most of them have when they're working with me? And if you want to work with me, here's a way to contact me. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite quotes, the best way to predict your future is to create it. Abraham Lincoln. So it's still a little bit about me, but you can see that it's more geared towards who might actually find me on LinkedIn. It still talks about those things, right?
Yes, and you're talking about them, though, right. I see. Mm-hmm.
I am, because this is where they're going to find it. I don't talk about me so much but it is.
But you're
I could probably add a little bit more.
Do for them.
But I'm sharing what I could do for them. And I could also put in there that, like, you know, the thing that motivates me most about working with people like you is that you're where I was 10 years ago, or I wish I'd had a me for me. Like, I could still put that in there.
Yes.
Easily. And I'm fleshing this out a little bit, because again, I've just reworked this because I've changed my audience a little bit on LinkedIn. So, you know, again, work in progress. And then we go over to SOAR.
Always be a work in progress.
Yeah. If you wait to get it right the first time, you'll never get out the door.
That's right.
Just get it out there and work with someone who knows you and find those.
Joe and I can light in a little activator under you. That's for sure.
Right. And then on SOAR, because of the way it's going right now, first of all, I'm going against SOAR rules at the moment. to some degree, because I will say I'm not using the right keywords. I will say a really important thing about your LinkedIn title and your SOAR title is you really want to have something in here that helps them with keywords to attract the people who are looking for you. I am not doing it at that moment. No one's going to be looking for an accelerator necessarily. I still really like my title. So I'm just telling you, the benefit is to really make sure if you look.
So give us some ideas, if you don't mind, for keywords, because one thing we do know is that coach and coaching are not it.
No. And what I did in so this is closer. I'm still not happy with it, but this is closer what I did on LinkedIn. Helping coaches build their business and brands by tapping directly into their unique talents. So someone might look for talent. I could put in messaging. I could put in helping entrepreneurs. I could put in innovative strategies for brand messaging for service-based entrepreneurs, right? So if you use, I personally like to be a little bit more creative. So that's where I get stuck sometimes on putting keywords into something that I also feel is with my message, because my message really is get it right before it goes wrong. But I'm not being helpful for the algorithms for people to find me necessarily through that. So I will tell you, be aware. It's good to have some of that boring piece in the title and then also move into the interesting piece in the body.
Sure. I would like to hear from the audience on what kind of keywords. Just let's have some exploration around that. Put some keywords in that you think might be what people are looking for, just as an exercise to get us thinking around that.
And as you're doing that, I'm not going to scroll down a little bit, but I scrolled a little bit on mine so you guys can see that it's kind of a little bit of a blend of what a LinkedIn profile looks like with my about you. Like at the very bottom, it has sort of my little mission statement about me that's personal. Right. So I've got what I do, how you start working with me. So there's a lot of information there that blends all of this together a little bit. So I just want to point that out. So what else have we got going?
They're putting some ideas in here: engagement, clarity, ROI, startup, personal growth, entrepreneur, development, discover, growth.
Right. So you want to create titles that work with that. So you would take who you're working with, who you're going after, right? And then what do you do for them?
So
So if it's about engagement, whose engagement are you growing, or for whom are you doing that? If it's discovering growth, who is discovering? So we've got a couple of both sides. Some are development, some's entrepreneur.
Here's just one for fun: working with executive women leaders who are looking to discover and grow their leadership skills.
Perfect. That is a great example of using keywords in a sentence that quickly sums up what you do. Mm-hmm. So this is truly that, you know.
Ooh, I know keywords for any of you that are looking and you're in this market is diversity and inclusion. That's another, those tend to be ones that people are looking for.
Yep. And I've, one of the people I'm working with right now, I would out her, I guess, but I'll just leave her name for the moment, but she comes through SOAR. But her great thing is she works with introverted leaders to ensure their voice is heard. And so introverted leaders is a great thing that not a lot of people are going to find, right? But people are going to look for introverted. They look for leadership. They look for that. So,
oh, I know another one: transition.
Yep.
Career. Those would be some more keywords. So,
awesome.
Good.
So hopefully you guys are getting an idea of how to start creating that sentence that will really be a much better title on SOAR than what I have, and is the kind of thing you should also use on LinkedIn. I told you I'm not perfect.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Some of it's my stubbornness. It's like I do know better, but I don't always do better just because I'm stubborn on certain things. I'm a little rebellious.
Glad we're helping, Dave. Good.
And then just the last little thing, if you're writing articles, you also want to make sure you have just a touch of your byline and personal in there. And there's different ways to do this. So it's no longer the Strengths Branding group, it's Strengths Unleashed group, but it's still, I think I might have actually, and I put the most recent webinar, so there was a link up there for the Zoom if you want to see it. So just a quick, just a quick takeaway at the bottom of an article. So anytime you're publishing articles, you want to make sure that you're putting something there and a call to action as well. So pushing them somewhere
your
else
biography in an article needs to have links for you, like you're here on the Medium.
Yep.
So that people can get to you and see more stuff. Love it.
And see more stuff, connect in some way.
Good.
So I'm going to stop sharing again for a second. And then while you guys are thinking, if you have any other extra questions or anything right now, I've got one extra document that I'm going to show you really quickly that's going to help you guys start writing your about yous.
So
my document real quick.
This is your call to action, everybody.
Call to action. So if you guys want to download this, you're going to have to get a hold of me so I can send it to you.
There you go.
I promise I won't bother you too much. So I am going to share my screen one more time. All right. So here are two different ways to do about you starters, okay? So this is really the best way for the long version. You want to start out with your why, right? We've talked about the bold statement. We want to do the bold statement, but we're getting to the body, the text of this is some options to get you going. What is your why? I started my business because I wanted to help people do this. I was sick of seeing this. I believe that something can happen. So this is a great kickstart to start thinking about why you do what you do, right? And think about what you're out there. Problem. What are the challenges your client faces? Oops, sorry, there's a typo. Challenges your client face. I guess that's
what challenges.
What are the problems?
Do your client? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What are the challenges your clients face? What are the problems they struggle with along the way? It's a similar problem to what you struggled with. It's where you had issues, right? So that's where the before and after comes in. So you want to think, what was your life like before you decided to make a change or do things differently? What was the problem that was in you? What was the final straw that moved you to change? There's my little one.
This is an amazing document that we can use to sit down and write our way through this so that we can then go and create the About Me page. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. These are just prompts to help you get started and really start writing. And then, just free flow this, stream it. You don't have to write it perfectly the first time, but get these ideas out there. What was the final straw to move you to change? Hold on one second. Sorry.
Sure.
There he goes. My little boy is home from his summer school. Sorry. And then what is your life like now? How's the problem been solved? How do you feel now? What's great now? And then what's that result, right? So now you really focus on the result. What's going to be the outcome? What's been the outcome for you? And what is the belief around that that's possibly keeping people from achieving that outcome? Because your job is really to blow that belief up and show them that it's possible and show that shift in your story. So again, you're talking about you, but you're talking about them. The focus is really on them. So from my perspective, how can I stand out from others in my field, right? I hear people that, there's so many coaches out there. I don't know. What do I say that's different than everybody else? Well, by showcasing your strengths. For me, you start tapping into that strengths language, man, and you have something super unique. So the belief is the best way to stand out for me is to tap into the power of your unique strengths. The belief that's happening on their side is they don't think they have anything unique, right? And even when we know our own strengths, we still undervalue it because it's something so easy. We hear this all the time.
I know.
So a possible message, exactly. And a possible message combination would be something like, in order to achieve this, I believe you must do this, right? So that you're talking to your people. And here's a very standard, just little example. A why. I want to get back in shape because I've had enough of my pants not fitting. Problem. Getting to the gym is hard for me and not convenient. But I joined the gym and decided to start a diet. I will hate it anyway. All right, before and after. Well, I was finally tired of being overweight. I decided to join an at-home training program. I get in shape. That's my after. The result, I can get in shape when I choose a way that's convenient. And so the cell is an at-home training program, right? So there's just a very simple way of looking at that.
Right. And the people you're looking for who are going to hear your message are the ones who are looking to take that same path.
Exactly. And it's okay that not everyone's looking for that path.
Right.
We're not trying to connect with everyone. We're trying to connect with our people. right? Because that's going to make our job that much easier. And let's see how that all works together seamlessly. So we left that. And the bio template. So this is another one for shorter biographies. You could use this for a LinkedIn. You could use this potentially for your SOAR. But this is just really like, if you look at mine, you'll see where mine had said something like, I desire to live in a world where happiness is contagious, people are using their talents, and, so it goes like that. So you could start, I want to live in a world where, right? As a blank, and depending on where you're putting this, it's he or she, or I. If you want to use third person, you can, because this is great for speaking engagements, for those little things. And just little prompts, again, to help you write a short biography, help you use it for getting those bylines out there. So those are two little short, this one's not short, this will take some time, but it's a quick prompt to help you start writing that about you, which is where a lot of us struggle, because talking about ourselves is hard.
Right. It is. It's one of the hard self-promotion, even for those of us who are promoters. Hello, that would be me. Self-promoting is difficult. So I think that the information you've shared is very valuable. If you guys want the document that Jo just sent out, if you could just send her a note through her SOAR SOAR email, just go to soar.com/Jo Self herself.
Discover yourself.
Discover her, and she will be happy to send out that to you. So, and you also have a great program. I know, Jo, I've been through it. Several other people, I think, here today.
Anna's been through it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have a great branding course that really helps us focus on how, the words and the way that we need to speak to attract that ideal client. And you've given some amazing tips today. So
yeah. And if anybody on here, honestly, send out, if you want to get those, like I said, if you want to get those templates from me, just go ahead and message me on SOAR. We can also talk. You can schedule a call with me so we can figure out a way to make that happen. If you're just trying to think through where your strength zone is, if you're trying to think through your story and you just want someone to bounce those ideas off of, please connect with me. Seriously, 30 minutes. You'd be amazed what we can get accomplished in 30 minutes. It's pretty amazing what you can come up with. And I love getting to know people out there. So thank you all so much for joining me today. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. And thank you, Rhonda, for allowing me to share on this great platform.
Happy to do that, Jo. You bring great information to us. And so thank y'all for joining us today. We'll be back with more great information. I want to bring you good content so that you can be more, do more, and have more. If you want to talk to me, you can find me at mysoar.com profile. And if you're not on the SOAR platform already, you can check it out by the link that I just sent in there. Go take a look, because a starter coach on the SOAR platform is free. It's got some great benefits there that I'd love to share with you. So just reach out to me if you want more information. And thanks, everybody. Good to see you. And we'll be back soon with more good stuff for you to grow your business. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.